In the following exercise, you're going to start a new project with Revit. Learn how to work with the Revit interface and experiment with creating a simple building using basic walls, windows, doors, and a roof. Start Revit, and from the Recent Files window, choose New Project. And then in the New Project dialog box, you can either choose Architectural Template or you can choose Browse just to make sure, and I'd like you to do this just once, to make sure that your default template file is coming from the US Imperial folder. That's going to ensure that you're working with feet and inches. If your template is coming from a Canada folder, you're going to be working with metric. So make sure you pick this one and pick Open. We'll pick OK and the new project will start. Now if you look in the project browser, you can see that level 1 is shown in bold, and that indicates that it's the current view. Whatever view is current, if I switch to my south elevation by double clicking, it shows in bold in the project browser. To go back to level 1, I'll just double click and we're back in this plan view. You should see 4 elevation tags that are pointing into the center of your model. So this is where you want to draw your building, inside these elevation tags. From the Architecture tab, Build Panel, I'm going to choose Wall. In my Type selector, I'm going to change this to Exterior, Brick and CMU on Metal Stud. On the options bar, I'm going to set the height to unconnected and use a height of 10 feet. So if I just type 10 and pick outside, that's going to assign the height. For the location line, I want to change this to Finish Face Exterior. Make sure that Chain option is selected, and now I'll be able to draw a series of continuous walls. Now I'm going to pick a point in the lower left section, not down here, but inside this area bounded by the elevation tags. And I'll just pick a point in the lower left, and then I'm going to drag my mouse up until I see those dimensions appear. And when I want to make sure that I'm working on a vertical axis, you can see the little dashed green line, and also it says vertical at my tooltip. If I move my mouse just a little bit left or right, that dashed line disappears. Then if I get close to vertical, it snaps in. Go the other way, the dashed line disappears. You want to make sure that that dashed line is visible when you're drawing horizontal or vertical segments. I'm going to draw this wall at 38 feet. Now I can just pick a point at 38, or I can just get it somewhere close in the right direction and then type 38 and hit enter, and it's going to be drawn at that length. Now I'm going to drag my mouse to the right until I see that dashed line appear again, and this time I'm just going to drag my mouse over until it's about 50 feet and then pick a point. And I don't care if it's 50 or 51 or 50 foot 6. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be so easy to change it later. Now I'm going to drag my mouse down approximately the length of the first wall, and as soon as I get to that same length, this little tracking line appears indicating a perfect alignment with the first wall. So Revit's very clever. It will often show you little alignment lines or smart alignments indicating when things are in line with other things that you probably want to align. So I'm just going to drag this mouse down and pick a point when that line appears, and now this third wall is the same length as the first. Now I'm going to drag my mouse over to the left, and then I'm going to drag my mouse up, and then left again, and then down, and again watch that line appear. As soon as I get close to the horizontal section to the right, we get a little snap and auto alignment point appear, and then I'll pick a point, and then I'm going to drag my mouse over and pick a third point, right click and pick cancel to complete my wall perimeter. Once you've closed that perimeter, you can either hit escape to end the chain, or you can right click and pick cancel. Either will work. Now, off to the side, we're going to just create a little L-shaped segment of walls with 2 wall segments. I'm going to go back to my architecture tab, and I'll choose wall, and I just want to create a wall and then another section, and I'll hit escape. I'll pick a point and another point and hit escape. The command continues, and I can right click and pick cancel to stop as well. To practice some selections, we can pick a point, press Control, pick another wall, press Control and pick another wall, and hit delete to remove those. If I pick and drag a crossing through these walls, all of them are going to be selected. Anything that I touch will be selected, and then I can delete that. This time I'm going to put a window selection. The window is crossing the top wall, but it's not completely surrounding it. It is completely surrounding the vertical segment. So when I pick a point, that's the one that's going to be selected. And we'll just pick and hit delete. So you can cancel a command when you're in the middle of a command by pressing the escape key. You can also start a command, and you can just reach over and pick modify, and that will cancel it and also let you pick another element to change or modify. And I'll just do a little crossing here, press Control and do another crossing here to pick those up, and press delete. So that's a little bit about selection. Now for zooming, if we want to zoom around this set of walls, I'm going to type ZR and then just pick a rectangular area around that, and it's going to fill the screen. If I want to zoom all, I can either do a ZA. If I want to zoom in a region again, I'll do a zoom region here. ZF and zoom all and zoom to fit are basically the same thing. They are both going to take you out to the extent. So ZA, turn my wheel in, ZF, and we're back out again. There's a third way, and that's to do a double click on your middle button. So if we're zoomed in here on this corner, and I just double click my middle button, that will also automatically do a zoom fit. Let's come back in here a little bit closer again. And this time we're going to add a door. So we'll go to the build panel, and I'll choose door. The size is set at 36 by 84, and that's going to be fine. I'm going to choose tag on placement so that we can add a door tag at the same time. And I'm going to move my door or cursor in here around the middle of this wall. When I move my mouse in and the door appears, I can press my space bar to change the orientation of that door to left or right. If I'm adding this door, and this is true with Windows as well, if I pull my mouse in from the bottom, the door is going to protrude out or swing out in that direction. If I move my mouse in from the top, the door is going to open in. So the side of the wall that you approach with your mouse controls the direction of a door or a window. Really easy to modify it afterwards if you get it wrong, but this is how you get it where you want it while you're drawing. So I'll pull my mouse down, press my space bar so that it's swinging in on that side, and then just pick a point to place the door, and it automatically tags it. The door command is still active, and we could continue to place multiple doors by picking points at other walls. So if I want a door that swings in at the back against that wall, I just move my mouse in, pick a point. If I want another one in this corner, I'll move it in from the side of the wall where I want the door to swing, press space to get the orientation, pick a point to add and tag that door. After I've added the third door, I can just hit escape to cancel that command, escape again to get out of that process and into a regular modify tool. And now we're going to add some windows. So I'm going to go back to the build panel and choose window. We'll use a fixed 24 by 48 inch window. So I'll just reach into my type selector and change this to 24 by 48. You can see a little symbol appear in the middle of the floor plan, so I can't drop this window down. It's asking me to click on wall to place window. If I look down here at the status bar, you can see that prompt. So I'm going to zoom in here around the door, and we're going to add a window. I'm going to clear this tag on placement as well. We can add tags later. And we're going to move the mouse over the wall to the left of the front door, in here. And we'll place a window here. I'll move my mouse in here, and watch, if I come in from the top side, it's going to change the direction of that window. So that's on the inside of the wall instead of the outside. If you want to see more detail, then we can change this detail level down here from coarse to medium. If you want to see it in color, which can be helpful, change this to shaded, and it gives you a better look at the model as well. I'm just going to right click and pick cancel, or hit escape to stop that command. We're going to add another couple of windows on either side here, and if I want the same type of window, I can pick an existing window, and then I can choose to create similar from this ribbon, or I can type CS for create similar. And then I can add another window here, and we'll add another window here, and then just reach up and tap escape twice to finish that operation. If I want to add some more windows on the outside of the building, we can start our window command, and then I'm going to change the size, this time to a 36 by 48. So I'll pick the size that I want. And I'm going to add 11 more windows. So let's see, where are the windows located on the plan? We'll take a look at the handout, and we have a window here, and we have a window here. There's one here, two more in this area, another one here, one around the middle, one around the washroom, 1, 2, 3, and I'm just dropping these in. We'll fine tune the position and placement of the windows after we have them. Now with the window command still active, I canceled it already. If the window command is still active and you want to start drawing a wall, then you can just type WA, and that's immediately going to cancel the window command and start the place wall command. We're going to add some partition walls on the inside now. So I'm going to set the type selector to a basic wall. Let's scroll down here. We're going to find an interior 4 7/8 partition. So it's a 3.5 inch stud and 2 layers of 5/8 inch drywall. And we'll just pick this. We're going to set the location line to finish face exterior. And then I'm going to start this wall at this corner and drag my mouse up. Now, if you pick that corner and it's on the wrong side or the wrong corner, space, 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 space until it goes to the right spot. And we'll just drag our mouse up and pick a point when I get to that top wall. And when I right click and pick cancel to finish, it automatically cleans up that connection between the two walls. So we'll zoom back out. We can do another wall. The command is still active. We're still set up with the same type of wall. I'm going to pick this here on the right hand side, drag my mouse up. Now here you can see this time the wall is coming up on the wrong side of the corner. So I'll just press space to get it to the correct location. Drag my mouse up. Make sure you see that little dashed line or it's going to be crooked. Pick a point And then I can just reach over and pick Modify to finish that. We're going to do another wall. Let's see, we'll do a couple of horizontal walls as well. I'll pick the existing wall, and then I'll type CS or choose Create Similar. And we're going to add another one in here. And I'll just reach up, hit Escape. The command is still active. We can do another wall across here. Hit Escape. We can do another wall here, and you can see that smart alignment? That means that this next wall is going to be in line with the one on the left. And I can pick and drag this across. Now I'll just face this up. Pick a point at the right click and cancel. And we have all of our interior walls laid out in this area. A couple more at the top. We'll add a wall here. I'll just tap Escape. We'll do another one in here, pick a point, and Escape. And our interior walls are in place. We're going to add a few interior doors as well. Now let's see, we're not going to have enough room for this one. So let's just pick this wall and we'll move it down some. And I'll pick this window and I'll move it down. I'm just trying to get myself enough room for another door to this room. And now we can start adding a few more doors. And this time we'll use a smaller door, 30 by 84. Now, before you say Kev, we can't use 30-inch doors on a commercial building because you can't get a wheelchair through that door. You're absolutely correct, but we're going to change that later. For now, I just wanted to get you some practice using different sizes and using the type selector. So yes, I know that it doesn't meet requirements for accessibility, but we'll change them later. Let's change this then to a 30 by 84-inch door, and then we can start adding some doors. So you approach the wall from the side where you want it to swing in, and if it's flipping in the wrong direction, press the space bar to flip it to the correct direction. And then right click and hit enter. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's all of our doors are in place. Excellent. Just right click and pick cancel. Now if we'd like to add some furniture, we can put in some furniture in a similar fashion. We'll just start the command for a component. And I'll just go to my build panel and I'll pick component. And the first component that's going to appear is a desk, and it's a 60 by 30-inch desk. Let's put in a larger one. I'll reach into my type selector and I'll change this to 72 by 36. And then I can reach my mouse in here and I'll add a desk here. When I'm adding these components, if I press my space bar, each time I press space, it rotates the component 90 degrees, and we can add another one here, and another one here, and it's going to carry at the back of the desk, so we'll add another one here, and I guess we had one in the reception area as well. We'll put one more right in the middle here, and then I'll just right click and pick cancel to get out of that command. Now we're going to add a few rooms and room tags. You can add a room by choosing Room on the Room and Area panel from the Architecture tab on the ribbon, or you can use a shortcut called RM. And if the Tag on Placement option is selected, when you pull your mouse in, you're going to see that the tag appear, and you can add one room here in the lower left. And there's another one of those smart alignment tags showing that the room tag above is in line with the one below. And then another one here, and here, and here, here, and here. One more in the middle. And then we'll just pick modify to finish that operation. And we've added several rooms and room tags. If you want to edit the names and numbers of the rooms, then you can select a room tag, or you can pick the room itself. If I pick the room tag and zoom in here, I can pick anything that's blue, remember. So I can choose the room, and I can change that to office. The room is numbered at 1. If I'd like, I could change that to 101. I could change it to Bill if I want. So you can change the room numbers. And I'll go to this next one. And they're going to be numbered incrementally. So they're in order based on the points that you pick when you add them. So we have another office here. If you pick the room itself, which is highlighted by that diagonal set of lines, if I pick here and select the room, we can also access the identity data, which shows the number and the name for the room, and I'd be able to change this as well to office and apply. If I go down to the front section here, we can pick the tag. If you pick the tag itself, you don't see the identity data, but you can edit it directly. And we can say that this is a reception. If you pick the room, then you access the values here through the properties palette. This is another office, and as soon as I start typing OF, then it shows me a preview for this office, and if I just pick that, then it's going to add the name. And here we'll do another one, and I'll pick, and I'll go to my identity data, and you can actually just reach into the pull down, and I can choose office here as well. So if you have several rooms that are going to use the same name, that's a quick way to add them. And here we have a washroom, and then over here on the right we have a mechanical room. And we'll get that information in. Now the text is extending outside of the rooms, and that's just because the scale is set at 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. When we change that scale to a 3/16 or to a 1/4 of an inch equals a foot, it's going to reduce the size of the room tags. If I would like to see what the square footage is in these rooms, room tags can also tell you how big the room is. Now if I pick this room, and I take a look here, it shows the area is 305.39 square feet, gives me the exact perimeter, so it's telling me all kinds of useful information about that room. If I pick one tag and I type SA, it's going to do a select all, and it gets all of the tags. Over here in my type selector, you can see that there are 8 selected, and if I change the type from room tag to room tag with area, it's also going to indicate the square footage for all of those rooms. Alright, from the quick access toolbar, pick your default 3D view, and here is our building. Let's change this to a shaded view, and this is what you've modeled in the last 20 minutes. 20 minutes, 25 steps, and a lot of talking. You could actually model this in about 5 minutes, but that's a pretty good effort for a very short amount of time, and that's just how slick Revit allows you to develop a building model. Just drag and drop parts and pieces and create 3D elements. Even when you're working in a plan view, you're developing a full 3D model. Alright, we're going to go back to level 1. I'll just double click to make that view active, and we're going to save this. So save your project as Revit 1-1- your initials. So I'm going to call mine KB. We'll go into my Save As, Project, and I'm going to go to my computer, Files, Revit 1, and I'll say that this is Revit 1-1- KB, because my name is Kevin Brown. If your name is Bill Sharp, then you put BS there. If your name is Ruth Martin, put RM. So we'll name our file and we'll pick save, and that is as far as we're going to go in lesson 1. So we'll stop there and we'll come back in tomorrow's class and we'll continue developing our building, adding constraints and dimensions, and getting this to the size and the shape that we need.